The security line was already crawling forward, but the moment her voice sliced through the airport noise, everything froze. It wasn't a normal traveler's complaint. It was sharp, high, and filled with theatrical outrage. The kind of voice that demanded everyone's attention. I was standing directly behind her, backpack over one shoulder, boarding pass in hand, just trying to make my morning flight. But the woman ahead of me, who I'd later learn was named Mia, brought the entire line to a halt with one sentence. "I don't need to take my shoes off. Do you understand who I am?" The crowd stiffened, heads turned. You could almost feel the shared frustration settle over the checkpoint like a heavy fog. Officer Daniels, a tall, calm man in uniform, didn't even flinch. Before all this, I'd thought my day would be simple. My name's Justin, 38, traveling for a business pitch I'd spent weeks preparing. I had my documents ready, my phone charged, everything double-checked. I cared about being on time, being respectful, keeping things smooth. The airport smelled like coffee and disinfectant. Conveyor belts hummed, luggage wheels rolled, voices murmured quietly. Everything was routine until she arrived. Mia appeared like a flash of perfume and entitlement. Her energy changed the entire space. She was impossible to miss. Dark blonde hair twisted perfectly, oversized sunglasses indoors, and a sleek black dress cinched with a gold belt. Every detail screamed curated perfection, the kind meant to be noticed and admired. Without hesitation, she slipped ahead, past 3, then 5, then 7 people, before stopping right in front of me. She didn't acknowledge anyone she cut off, just glided through like she owned the place. I cleared my throat and said politely, "Sorry, the line starts back there." She barely turned her head, giving me a smile that wasn't really a smile. "Sweetheart, if you were someone who mattered, you'd be ahead of me." And just like that, I stopped existing to her. The officer directing the line began the usual announcement. Remove shoes, belts, electronics. Everyone moved in rhythm, filling trays, following the routine. Everyone except Mia. She stood still, arms crossed, passport and boarding pass in one hand, the other lifting her sunglasses slightly as though the lighting itself offended her. When Officer Daniels approached, his tone was calm and professional. "Ma'am, please remove your shoes and place your items in the tray." Her head snapped toward him, voice sharp. "No, I don't need to. I have status," she said, status like it was an official rank. Daniels didn't argue. He simply repeated the policy evenly, patiently. He'd clearly seen this before, but Mia's irritation grew louder. "I travel constantly. I know security. I'm not doing this." "You're wasting my time." A couple nearby exchanged glances. The rest of us stood awkwardly, hoping she'd just cooperate so we could move on. But she didn't. She tried to step toward the scanner without removing her shoes. Daniels raised a firm hand, not touching her, just blocking her path. "Ma'am, please step back." Her mouth fell open as if she'd just been physically stopped. "Excuse me?" "You can't stop me. Do you understand?" Her voice climbed higher, drawing attention from nearby lanes. The tension in the air grew tight like a wire about to snap. Against my better judgment, I tried to calm things. Maybe it was exhaustion, or just the instinct to diffuse chaos. I leaned forward slightly and said quietly, "It'll go faster if you just follow the rules. Everyone has to." For a moment, I thought reason might reach her, but when she turned toward me, her expression was pure contempt. "You don't tell me what to do. You have no idea who I am." The humiliation she felt from being treated like everyone else was turning into something vengeful. She started name-dropping, rattling off supposed titles, connections, clubs, and memberships, trying to rebuild the image that was crumbling in real time. But everyone could see the truth. She was just another passenger. And the more she insisted she was above the rules, the more fragile she looked. The crowd's annoyance shifted to fascination. It was like watching someone argue with gravity while standing on the edge of a cliff. Officer Daniels calmly called for backup. Not angrily, not dramatically, just routine procedure. Mia scoffed, her voice rising again. "This is harassment. I'll have your job." She stepped back, still refusing to comply, standing directly beneath a sign that read in bold letters, "Security rules apply to everyone." If she noticed it, she didn't care. Or worse, she truly believed it didn't apply to her. I shifted my weight, the backpack straps digging into my shoulder. Each second dragged longer than the last. My thoughts flicked to the meeting I might miss, time slipping away, the pressure building. But I also knew we'd passed the point where a simple apology could fix this. Mia wasn't just being difficult anymore. She was making a statement. The security line had turned into a stage, and she was determined to be the star. The air grew tense and quiet except for her breathing, fast, loud, and full of defiance. Officer Daniels remained calm and steady, his composure unshaken. The crowd around us held the stillness of people sensing that something was about to break. And there I was, directly behind her, part of a situation I hadn't chosen but couldn't escape. That's when I realized this wasn't about inconvenience anymore. It was about pride, arrogance, and consequence. And the breaking point was still ahead. Daniels didn't raise his voice or shift his stance. He didn't try to intimidate her with authority. He simply repeated the instruction, patient and professional. But that calmness seemed to provoke her even more. Mia's arms hung stiff at her sides. Her hands trembled slightly, though she tried to hide it behind a look of self-righteous anger. "I have never been treated so disrespectfully in my life," she said, each word sharp and deliberate. "This is beneath me, beneath all of us," but the crowd didn't agree. People shuffled, checked their watches, sighed quietly. The delay was wearing on everyone, and irritation was building like pressure in the air. I felt it too, pressing against my spine, urging me to say something. But I held it back. By now it was clear that logic only fueled her fury. The conveyor belt kept humming, trays sliding forward, waiting patiently. The scanner light glowed steadily, unbothered, unmoved, indifferent to all of it. Then, without warning, Mia slammed her carry-on onto the counter beside the trays. The impact echoed through the checkpoint, startling a few people nearby. She began tearing items out of her bag in frustration. A laptop, tangled cords, expensive toiletries, and a makeup kit packed with glass bottles that clearly exceeded the liquid limit. She threw everything into trays as if punishing the process itself. A half-open perfume bottle rolled and clinked, spilling slightly. Daniels watched her every move with calm precision. His eyes didn't waver, but I could tell he was mentally noting every detail, following protocol perfectly. When she shoved her laptop forward without putting it in its own tray, Daniels reached out to stop it. "Electronics larger than a cell phone need to be separated," he said evenly. That single sentence was the last thread holding her composure together. Mia spun toward him, shoving her sunglasses onto her head. Her eyes burned with anger. "Do you think I'm stupid?" she snapped. Daniels stayed silent. He didn't need to answer, the silence itself was enough. And that silence enraged her more than words ever could. She jabbed her finger toward him, then turned to the crowd. Her voice rose until it echoed through the terminal. "This is harassment. You all see this, right? I'm being targeted. This is profiling." The irony was thick. She was the only one creating the conflict, but she twisted the story to keep control, to stay powerful in a moment slipping away from her. The crowd shifted again, but this time there was no sympathy left. Just quiet anticipation, the kind people feel right before a storm hits. I saw Daniels lift his radio, pressing the button with his thumb. He spoke softly into it, words I couldn't hear but understood. "Backup requested." This had gone beyond simple refusal. This was disruption, an escalation, and then it happened. A sharp, piercing alarm blared through the checkpoint. Red lights flashed across the scanner as the conveyor belt stopped. Mia had tried to push her belongings onto the belt, while stepping into the body scanner without permission. The system reacted instantly. Now she was officially flagged for secondary screening, a longer, more thorough process no one could avoid. Her face drained of color, then flushed bright red with rage. "No, no. You can't do this. I have a flight to catch. I have a schedule that matters." She tried to move forward again, but Daniel stepped calmly into her path. No aggression, just presence. She stopped short as if she'd run into an invisible wall. "Ma'am," he said in that same steady tone, "please step to the secondary screening area." She didn't move, not forward, not backward. The entire checkpoint waited, suspended in that thick, charged silence that comes just before everything unravels. Mia stood frozen, her face locked in indignation. The supervisor arrived, clipboard in hand, expression unreadable. He greeted Officer Daniels with a calm nod before turning to her. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "refusing TSA screening is grounds for removal from the security area and denial of boarding." If you continue to refuse, we will have to escort you. Mia shook her head violently, her voice cracking. No, I will not be escorted anywhere. I paid for my ticket. You can't deny me my flight. Her tone wavered, not from fear but disbelief. She couldn't comprehend a world that didn't bend for her. That's when I understood something important. Mia wasn't just entitled, she believed the system existed. For her comfort. Rules to her were for other people. Guidelines she could choose to ignore. Now, faced with a reality that refused to move for her, she was unraveling. Not with performative outrage, but with desperate panic. I scanned the crowd. People watched with a mix of curiosity and exhaustion. Some discreetly recorded, phones angled low. Others crossed their arms, quietly waiting for the outcome. I slipped my phone into my pocket and pressed record, not out of spite, but caution. Her accusations were growing louder, and I didn't want to be pulled into her version of events. The camera caught everything. Her voice, her body language, the bold sign behind her, and the calm professionalism of the officers. Then Mia noticed the phones pointed in her direction. That was when she truly lost control. "Stop recording me," she screamed. "This is illegal, you can't film me." A woman a few spots back replied dryly, "We're in a public place. Calm down." But Mia didn't hear, or didn't care. Her outrage tangled with panic, creating something volatile. She lunged for her tray, snatching her laptop and clutching it to her chest like a shield. Daniels moved first, steady, but firm. "Do not touch your belongings until screening is complete," he instructed. It was standard procedure, but she reacted as though he'd struck her. "How dare you touch me? How dare you?" she shrieked. The supervisor raised a hand, signaling for backup. 2 more officers began walking toward us, measured steps, calm but purposeful. Everyone felt it. The shift, the end of this confrontation was forming, inevitable and precise. Mia stepped backward, not in retreat, but to summon new momentum. "I'll sue this airport. I'll sue all of you. My lawyer." She never finished. Her voice caught, the words collapsing under their own weight. Something flickered behind her eyes, the realization that control was slipping away. Her grip on the laptop loosened. Her posture wavered. She looked around at the officers, the supervisor, and the silent crowd, and maybe for the first time she saw herself the way we all did. The security line was still frozen. My flight time was ticking closer. The crowd waited quiet as she stood there, heels rooted to the floor, pride the only thing holding her upright. But pride can't carry the weight of denial forever, and she was reaching her breaking point. When the 2 additional officers reached the checkpoint, the atmosphere shifted from tense to final. No aggression, no threat, just authority, the kind that leaves no room for argument. Mia sensed it. Her chin lifted slightly, her posture stiffened, and she tried to reclaim the brittle confidence she'd been wielding like armor. "I'm not going anywhere," she said. Her voice wavered halfway through, turning the statement into something else, a plea dressed as defiance. Daniels stepped forward just enough to command the space without stepping into hers. His voice stayed calm, almost gentle. "Ma'am, you are required to comply with screening procedures. If you refuse, we'll have to escort you out of the security area. You will not be allowed to board your flight." Her eyes widened. For the first time, there was fear behind them. She opened her mouth to argue, but no words came, only a faint sound of disbelief. The truth had finally broken through. She was losing. One of the officers gestured toward the secondary screening area, a small section enclosed by frosted glass. Everyone watching knew what it meant. It was her final chance to comply before removal. She stared at it like it was something beneath her, something that offended the image she'd built of herself. For a brief second, I thought she might relent. That she might finally take off her shoes, place her things in the trays, and end it. But pride held her in place. She took a step back, clutching her laptop tighter. "This is unconstitutional. I'm being threatened. I know people. I'll have all your badges." Her threats came weaker now, unraveling at the edges. The officers didn't respond. They didn't need to. The rules were clear. The supervisor gave Daniels a single nod. A silent signal. Daniel stepped forward and extended his hand, not touching her but offering a final chance. "Ma'am," he said, his patience now touched with quiet finality, "you are being denied boarding for failure to comply with security procedures. You must leave the screening area." The sound that left her wasn't a scream this time, it was a gasp, a hollow sound of disbelief, not because she didn't understand, but because she finally did. The consequences had arrived, and they were real. "You can't," she whispered. "I have to be on that flight. I have business, important business." But her words landed flat, stripped of power. Her importance existed only in her own imagination now. The officers moved with calm precision, guiding her gently but firmly away from the conveyor belt. She resisted only slightly, not out of defiance anymore, but from the shock of watching her identity crumble in public view. As she was led past me, her sunglasses slipped slightly down her forehead. For the first time, I saw her eyes clearly. They weren't cold or domineering. They were afraid. Not of the officers and not of the consequences, but of the realization that she had no special exemption from the rules she always thought were beneath her. Her voice cracked as she managed one final sentence while being escorted down the walkway. "You're all making a mistake. This is all a mistake." But no one answered and no one believed her. When she disappeared from sight, silence filled the space. Not triumphant, just heavy. Slowly, the airport returned to motion. People released, held breaths. The conveyor belt began moving again. Trays clattered softly as travelers resumed the familiar rhythm of removing shoes, belts, and electronics. The airport continued on, unchanged by her presence, unchanged by her exit. I placed my belongings into the trays, shoes off, pockets emptied. Daniels glanced at me, not smiling but offering the quiet acknowledgement of someone who'd seen this happen too many times before. Someone who knew the aftermath was rarely satisfying, only necessary. "Thank you for your patience," he said, his tone genuine. I nodded. "I hope your day gets easier," I replied, though I wasn't sure if it would. He gave a short, weary laugh. "It usually does." After that, I stepped through the scanner without issue. My items slid down the belt, my shoes found my feet again, and my backpack settled across my shoulders. My flight was boarding soon. I moved quickly, though not rushed, carrying the leftover tension like static in the air. As I walked through the terminal, my phone buzzed. A notification, then another. I unlocked it, expecting work updates. Instead, I saw a video already spreading online. Someone had posted the scene to a travel forum, then to social media. The caption read, "Lady at the airport finds out rules actually do apply to her." Within minutes, comments were flooding in. Disbelief, humor, judgment, and shared frustration from travelers everywhere. The footage wasn't cruel, it was just honest. I hadn't posted mine. I didn't need to. The moment had documented itself, etched into digital memory without my help. I watched only a few seconds. The raised voice, the claim of special treatment, the officer's calm reply. Then I locked my phone and kept walking. My flight was on time. I boarded, found my seat, and stowed my bag. The cabin smelled faintly of fabric cleaner and recycled air. Passengers settled in, adjusting armrests and seatbelts. The hum of quiet conversation filled the space. Outside, luggage carts moved rhythmically under the fading light. As the plane lifted off the runway, I thought of Mia, not with satisfaction or triumph, but with clarity. Pride is fragile. It convinces you that you're untouchable until reality reminds you that you're not. No one is above the rules. No one escapes accountability. Status means nothing when dignity is lost in the process. My meeting went better than expected. I spoke clearly, confidently. Watching consequences unfold without cruelty, only order, had grounded something in me. I didn't need to raise my voice to be heard. I didn't need to demand importance. Respect is earned quietly. Power is proven through restraint. Later, when I returned home, I saw the video again, now viral. Not explosively, but steadily. A modern cautionary tale shared by travelers across the world. a reminder that arrogance is loud, but accountability always speaks louder. And somewhere I imagined Mia was watching it too, seeing herself from the outside for the very first time. Her polished image stripped away, her certainty dissolved. The world had kept moving without her, and maybe now she'd have to learn how to move with it. In the end, the sign that had hung behind her through the entire ordeal spoke louder than any of her protests. Security rules apply to everyone. No exceptions, no titles, no imagined status. The world doesn't bend for ego, and the moment you believe it will, it's already begun to break you. I didn't need revenge. The universe took care of that all on its own, swiftly and publicly. I just walked forward onto my flight into my day and toward a life where patience and self-respect mean far more than noise. And Mia, wherever she is now, will remember that airport not as a place she passed through, but as the moment the world finally told her no. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed the journey, share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me, what would you have done in that line? And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss the next story.